guys, welcome to this all new episode of R&D Garage. I want to give the warmest of welcomes to all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing my videos. And of course, everybody who's been there since the beginning or joined along the way, thank you for continuing along with me on this car journey. We're having a blast. Okay, so with the FJ repairs pretty much done, except for the vinyl, we're like, what are we going to work on next? In comes the ATC. So this is a pretty special ATC. It's a 1982 Honda 250R, and it's been in Dee's family since, oh my gosh, since he was a kid. Like, he still has scars, like one bisecting his eyebrow, and I think one on his forehead too, from literally flipping over the handlebars when he was like 7 or 8, I don't know. Parenting, am I right? So, great parenting, am I right? But anyway, we've been wanting to ride this again for a very long time. And as you can see, she's kind of in great shape. Like, not a whole lot needs to be done. When we left off on her last time, her motor had seized. So we knew we had kind of a long journey ahead of us. But we've got some brand new parts, some rebuilt parts, and we're ready to begin. Come join me, we're gonna have fun. Okay, so when we say a motor has seized on a car, we know that car is pretty much FUBAR. You're not driving it again unless you replace a lot. This is just a little two-stroke bike, and so when we say the motor has seized on this, it just needs a top end and a jug, which, guess what? We have. So it shouldn't be that intensive to put it back together and to ride. I'm hoping we can start it up by the end of this video, but again, playing things by ear, we'll see how it goes. Okay. One great thing about this bike, this particular bike that we own, is the gas tank is pretty much perfect. There's zero rust, which on these bikes is actually kind of unusual because I'd say about 99.9% of them were stored outside because, you know, it's something fun. It's like a dirt bike, you store it outside. This one basically lived its whole life in a warehouse, much like Grandpa Truck, and it was only taken out to places like Glamis, you know, just all the really, really cool off-road places in SoCal where my husband grew up. So today we have a bunch of new parts. I'm gonna walk you over there and I'm gonna describe them. Okay guys, so I had to show you this. Dee's dad gave us this Climber Honda manual, ATC manual from like the early 80s, and it's absolutely hysterical. I mean, obviously the dude is going like full send, which hopefully we'll do in a couple weeks or so, but also full color. It's full color, but I don't know where the color is actually because the pictures are still black and white. So maybe it was just they were excited the cover was in full color. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna put this aside and let's get started with the parts. Okay. So there's a really rad dude on YouTube who actually machines top ends, makes it perfectly able to fit in your bike once you're done, you know, sends it back, all that. Anyway, he's hella rad. And I will put his name in the credits if you guys, or you can just come to me, DM me on Instagram, and I'll let you know who this guy is. But anyway, when I say top end, this is what I'm referring to. So this is the top end, and then we have some gaskets, and then we have the racing pistons. Racing. That should be fun. We're only gonna use one. And then of course we got new hardware, super important. We got the headlight bulb. Are you gonna zoom in? No, bulb. Okay, and then look at the itty bitty brake pads. They're so cute, especially after working on, you know, the Brumbos for the Hatchie and the FJ, and you know, we're used to like such big parts. So, oh, full disclosure, I've only torn down, I think like 1 or 2 motorcycle motors, and I don't think we actually put them back together. So basically, if you've never done this before either, we're gonna be learning together. Okay, so anyway, brake pads, and then we have new levers because those are kind of gross and worn. They're not like broken or whatever, but it's nice to have new shiny parts on your bike. So we got that. Cables. Okay, here we have power reeds, which is a phrase or a couple of words I actually have never heard of before. So this should be interesting. And then of course we got the, carb repair kit, rebuild kit. So we'll work on that. And then we have the fuel petcock repair kit. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, and then we have a set of brand new spark plugs, which we will only be using one. And then here we have the bearing kit for the wheels, you know, wheel bearings. So we'll be replacing those as well. So I think I showed you everything, and I don't know about you, but I want to get started. Let's do this. Okay guys, so maybe you have an ATC at home that looks very similar to this, but you noticed maybe they look a little bit different. People have been modifying these since the beginning of time, you know, just like cars. It's what happens. And so I believe either Dee's dad or maybe one of his family members actually cut this fender off so it'd be a little bit more air cooled, and they wrap this in like sticky grip tape, you know, it's the kickstart, so maybe like your foot wouldn't slip off. So there's going to be little stuff here and there. What we plan on doing with this bike is just having fun. We're not going to be souping it up, hot riding it around, because again, these are also super dangerous. I'm sure we've all seen the memes on Instagram with people flipping them at the blink of an eye. And so that's the last thing we want to have happen, is going 50 miles an hour and whoopsie. So yeah, let's get started. Okay guys, step number one, we got to pull off the fender and the seat. The great thing about these is there's a lever right behind right here. So we're going to switch that and then lift up and out. Oh yeah, perfect. Look how easy that was. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so we've got a bunch of little tiny multiple steps to do now. The first thing we're going to do is pull out this vent hose, just like this. And basically what we're wrapping up to is taking off the gas tank. I should have said that first. Okay, so we pull off the vent hose. Next, we're going to come down here. This is the petcock. So this is literally like, you know, to shut off gas before it gets into the carburetor. So let's say you're like towing your stuff home. You want to make sure no fluid, you know, no gas is flowing through. That's what this guy is for. And there's instructions on it, you know, on, off, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that is in the off position. Perfect. What we're going to do now is cut this hose. And because we don't need it, it's like hella crispy. There we go. And the rest again will come off. And now we're going to take off. These are like, I want to call them bushings, but they're just like kind of rubber stops. And that's what was also holding the seat and fender on. It would like slide into place. So what I'm going to do is pull this first guy off. I'm going to pull the one over here. Okay, set those aside. And now I'm going to take them off. There we go. Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh, everything is so freaking crispy. Okay, which, I mean, it makes sense. This bike has sat for many, many moons. But I know Dee's dad is going to be super happy that we're actually playing with it again. Okay, so that's off. So now we should be able to, oh yeah, check that out. Well, we still, is that? Oh, the cable down here. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead. Oh no, it was just stuck. Awesome. The gas tank, which is empty, thank goodness, is off. Let's move on. Okay, so we already pulled off the springs at the front of the bike with a pair of pliers, and it wasn't fun. There was a lot of swearing, so we did not show you. Okay, so now moving on from that, we are going to be taking off the exhaust. And so the first thing I'm going to do is hit up this bolt right here, take it off, and then I'm going to take off this one and the top one right there. And then this is actually like a slip joint, what they call it. A slip joint, is that right? Yeah, slip joint. And so it was basically spring loaded. And so we're gonna try to take it off. And the thing about this, you don't wanna bang on at least these parts with a hammer because they aren't making any more of these, they're valuable, and we don't wanna have to replace something that isn't broken. Okay, and Dee is gonna be holding up the end of the exhaust, so, you know, just kind of keep it steady for me. Let's do it. That's one, and now we have to switch. Perfect. Okay, so those are done. Okay guys, so I was literally ready to pull the slip joint off, and then I realized there's a bottom bolt here that still needs to come off. So since it's in kind of a weird position, I'm using the swivel, which be careful when you're using these guys because, you know, stuff happens pretty fast. So, just like that. It's not, oh, it is coming off though. Maybe I can just, there we go. Okay, it's off. So let's try pulling. I don't think, that is just not coming loose. Like not even a little bit.
Hit it with penetrant.
Okay, we're gonna pause for a station break. Okay, so when in doubt, and you don't want to use a hammer or you can't use a hammer, WD-40 and lots of wiggle. Okay, we also took off the muffler cover because it was just kind of getting a little bit awkward. So now that we've sprayed this and let it soak, I'm gonna pull the rest of it off. Okay, and it should be pretty simple. There, just like that. Toot, toot. Okay guys, now we're gonna go ahead and try to take the carburetor out. So the first thing I'm gonna do to prepare for that is, remember this fuel line I cut because it was basically done? We're gonna pull this one off, and now we're just gonna, disassemble that. And so now it's free on this side, so we have a couple of clamps that we're gonna tackle next. Okay, so before, again, we pull the carburetor out, I wanna make a couple of things clear. First, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the choke because it's extremely, extremely fragile. With all these parts, like the choke, some of the rubber booties, that kind of thing, I keep almost bumping my head. You wanna make sure to treat them like they're like priceless gold, because we don't know if they're making any more of these chokes. We don't know if they're making any more of, you know, some of the stuff we're taking off. So you just wanna be very, very gentle. That's where I'm going with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take off the choke. What I'm gonna do is unscrew this and lightly pull it out. Be very, very careful. Sweet, there we go. Let's move on. Okay, now we're going to be removing the throttle cable. So this is the throttle cable right here, where you can see it connects up. And so this is also connected to the cap. So what we're gonna do is be, number one, super careful, because once we unscrew it like this, and it's always good to put like a little towel down because that's where the whole assembly is gonna be. But you see, it comes up with a slide. There's a spring, a slide, and a needle. And this came out actually perfectly, thank goodness. But again, these are super fragile, and we don't know if they're making any more. So what I'm gonna do is lightly place it to the side and move on. Okay guys, this is the part I'm most nervous about. So we're gonna be taking this apart, and again, I have to be careful. So I already moved the spring out of the way. What I'm gonna do now is pull out that little tiny clip with my pliers. And it's actually, it looks like it's stuck on that thing. I'm just gonna try to, there we go. Okay, and so the needle should go, yes, just like that. And then you can see that gold part is coming out too, but I'm gonna put, I don't wanna lose that. Okay, so now I have to, with this thing, I think it goes back in, but then, okay, so I was wrestling with this thing, and then I happened to collapse the spring a little bit, thus pushing the bottom out of that. So what we're gonna do now is drop everything except the most important piece. Okay guys, it's hose clamp time. So I'm gonna take off this clamp and move it back. I'm gonna undo this clamp and move it back as well. So this is the rubber boot that we really don't wanna like wreck at any cost, because it's probably really expensive, again, if you can get it. This one isn't so bad. I think it's actually connected to the air box, so we can probably get it, but I'm just gonna try my best to be gentle. So, okay, and if these don't come off, then I'm gonna have to hit it with some WD-40. So, there we go. Oh, actually, that's not bad at all. Okay, I'm gonna, let's see, loosen it up a bit more. I think I'm just gonna take the damn screw out. No. There we go. Move back. Oh. Whoops. There we go. These screws have been around for longer than some of my friends. And I've got pushed back. Come on, dude. Okay, so the clamp is loosed, it's pushed back. This clamp is pushed back as well. Now this rubber is soft, this rubber is hard. So what we're gonna do is kind of pull up on the top here and then kind of push it back. And you don't wanna use, you don't wanna use a hook tool on the soft. You shouldn't anyway. Okay, I see the lip coming through. There we go. Oh my God. Carburetor. It almost looks like a heart. Let's move on. Okay guys, time to take off the cylinder head. So this one is a bit of a bear, only that, again, you need to be super careful. So what I'm gonna do is only turn these nuts a quarter turn, so basically, I guess kind of like a half turn, and then I'm gonna do it in a crisscross pattern. So I'm gonna start with this guy, move there, move there, move there, and then I've got another ratchet for the 2 bolts right here, which I'm gonna do the same exact thing. One here, one here. And then I'm gonna repeat the same thing probably about 4 times. So we probably won't show the whole process, but this gives you an idea of what to expect. And also, ow, I just rammed my ankle right into that peg. You're probably wondering, where is that spark plug, that single spark plug? That's not even gonna help. Oh, but I guess I won't bang my head anymore. Okay, so basically, wata! There is the spark plug. Okay, so we're gonna move this out of the way. I'll just kind of bend it like right there. Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, let's start. One, and now I'm like nervous. Do you put the fear of God into me for these? Actually, I'm gonna come around because now I'm like scared. Okay. Make sure it's straight. There we go. Okay. And I started with this one, so now it's this guy. Perfect. Okay, and I'm gonna come back over to this guy. Oh, actually. There we are. Okay, so now I know all 4 of those are broke, so I'm gonna, there it is, tackle the ones in the middle. And these are kind of deep down there, so you're gonna have to finagle. There we go. I have visions of cut knuckles in my future. Ah, perfect. Beautiful. Okay, so you just saw the first steps. We're gonna shut off the camera and do the rest of this now. You don't need to see me do it over and over and over again. So I had to tell you guys this just because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So between breaks of filming, I always check my phone, you know, like everybody else does. And I showed my buddy Scotty Birdsall about what we were rebuilding. And, you know, he's into a lot of interesting crap, and he's got like an old ass truck that he races at Pikes Peak, and, you know, he's a hoonigan. And so he's like, oh, well, who are you going to date now that, you know, Dee is obviously gonna pass away on this thing? And I was like, just another car guy who could hopefully bring some interesting crap to the table. So keep that in mind. Okay, anyway, crack me up. So now we're gonna go ahead and pull the top part of the head off. Okay, very, very important. Do not use a pry bar. Do not use a metal hammer. Don't put anything below here to pry it up, because you will break these fins and you will not be a happy camper. So the plan is right now to lightly tap with a recoilless. You can use a rubber mallet, just again, nothing metal. Once it's loose, I'm gonna try to lift it up and pull it away. The spark plug may be in the way, so we may have to take that off, but for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and tap and see what happens next. Okay, so again, light, light, and I can feel it already starting to be loose. I'm not gonna say what I was just thinking. Dion knows. Okay, let's see if, oh yeah, check it out. Oh, this is perfect. And the spark plug wasn't even in the way. Awesome, guys, this is going so, God, I love working on bikes. I think I'm only gonna work on bikes from now on. Mwah! Okay, let's move on. Okay, so looking at the jug right now, it actually looks pretty darn good. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but we're gonna take it out anyway since we have the freshly built one, and then we'll send this one away to get machined so we'll have a nice little backup. Okay, so now, like I said, it's time to take off the jug. So what we're gonna do, you see I already have my box end wrench on the bolt there. And it's super important you only use the box end. It even says it in the manual because the walls here are super thin. And with the pointy edge of the wrench here, you could actually poke a hole in it, which, yeah, no, let's not do that. Okay, so this is gonna be similar to like the top half where we just kind of turn it a quarter to start breaking all the bolts, and we're gonna do a crisscross pattern. So this one is actually gonna go backwards, that side's gonna go forwards. And once they're all broken and loose, then we can just have at it and take the whole thing off. You don't need to like quit doing the same pattern. But anyway, I think that's about it. Let's get started. Okay, and so I've got my box end, so I'm gonna, there we go. Just kind of like a little corner turn. So I'm gonna go to the other side. Remember, this goes forward. Beautiful. Okay, and come back around. And I started with that one, so now it's this one. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, and the last guy here. That's right. Sometimes it gets a little confusing with all these bolts. Beautiful. Okay, so these guys are all broken and loose. So what I'm gonna do is continue. Back to the front. Yeah, they're just about. Okay, they're getting loose. Enough almost for finger loose. Yeah. So this is what we're doing. Okay, since it's now loose, ready to come off, I'm gonna take off the jug, and Dion is gonna make sure the piston and rod doesn't fall and completely wreck itself. Okay, let's do this. Brooke, what would you do? You're too slow. Okay, ready?
Slowly.
I know. I like things fast. What are you talking about? What are you? Oh, that the gasket is like stuck.
No, the piston is
Oh,
still
the
in the
piston.
board.
Gotcha. I couldn't see it. See, if we had done this fast, it would have been out by now. Just saying. Okay. Completely blocking the camera. Oh, yeah, perfect. Now I see it. Okay, I got it. Yay, look at that. Okay, this is out. That's the piston, clearly. And we're ready to move on. Yay. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is take off this nasty, dirty gasket and then put this towel down here so nothing gets dropped into the abyss. So I'm just gonna take this off, and this off. Fling. We aren't gonna reuse that. Okay, it's like a nice little diaper. Now we're gonna take off the piston. Okay, you guys, so I also took the roller out. It was in there, and set it aside on top of the piston. We're not going to be reusing any of those parts, but they're just good to use as spares. And another thing I wanted to mention was you saw this little spring guy pop out, and for a second it was like, ooh, where did it go? You want to find this because not only for peace of mind, but you want to make sure it didn't fall into the abyss of the engine, the open engine gaping hole. So that's just kind of a good rule of thumb, is to look for stuff that you've popped off. Okay, so that completes the whole teardown of this beautiful, soon to be running Honda ATC 250R. Super excited to get this thing going. This bike has been so simple that we probably could put it all back together today, but I think I'm gonna save that for later this week. Also coming down the pipeline, I'm gonna be going to Streets of Willow again on the 30th, so I'll bring you guys a video from that. Definitely bring you guys a video from that. And then in the end of September, I'm actually gonna be racing at Laguna Seca in the Hatchie. I told myself once COVID was over, or, kind of like being maintained such as it is, I was going to go full send on racing and acting. And luckily I have the privilege of doing both. And so I'm super thankful. And I'm also super thankful for all of you guys. You're awesome. Thank you so much for watching R&D Garage. Thank you for liking these videos, for commenting and sharing. And if you haven't subscribed by now, but you've been watching, just hit that red button. It's cool. I'll like even more for it. Okay, guys, I'll be back next week with the hopefully running bike. Well, I'll show you how to put it together. Take care.